汚染とか汚れを意味するポリューションという言葉がアメリカの社会の中で誰もが口にする日常用語となったのはここ数年のことである。それは日本における公害という言葉と同じようにアメリカ社会に急速に浸透していった。工業化、機械化が極度に進み、消費文明が飽くことのない発達を続ける中で、環境汚染の問題はアメリカ人の心にどう捉えられていったのだろうか。一言で言えることは、人間と自然の関係を見つめ直そうという気持ちが、今人々の間に共通の意識となって大きく広がろうとしていることである。アメリカですぐに気づくことは、環境問題に関する市民の団体が全国至る所に存在することだ。これらの組織は学生、主婦、あるいは地域単位のグループなどさまざまな形をとっているが、その目的は住みよい生活環境を取り戻そうという点でほとんど一致している。首都ワシントンの一角に事務所を持つ環境実行委員会という組織は、その名が示す通り、環境汚染のあらゆる問題について積極的なキャンペーンを続けている若者たちの集まりだ。3年前、わずか数人の学生が10ドルずつ出し合って始めたこの運動も、今ではスタンフォード、コロンビア、ハーバードなどの大学生を中心として全米各地の1万6000もの市民団体と提携関係を持つ大きな組織になった。昨年の4月22日、環境汚染反対を旗印に2000万人というアメリカ史上かつてない大衆動員に成功した地球の日を主催し、各地でのデモやティーチインを組織したのもこの会の若者たちだ。
Anything that is bigger or faster or flashier as somehow being better. And we're coming to recognize that the whole value systems that those societies are based upon
彼らはこう主張する。水や空気を汚し、森や湖を犠牲にした文明の進歩は果たして価値のあることなのか。汚すことは簡単でも、それを再び元に戻すことは容易でない。取り返しのつかない状態になってからでは遅すぎるのではないか。彼らは自分たちの運動が理想に走りすぎ、社会全体から浮き上がっては意味がないことを知っている。そして2000万人という数字は、この若者たちの鋭敏な時代への感覚が多くの市民に共感を持って受け入れられていることを教えている。 メリカ。人口2億2000万人。国民総生産360兆円。世界一を誇る巨大な経済活動。それは豊かな国づくりの礎となり、国民の高い生活水準を生んだ。人々の消費は休みなく上昇を続け、アメリカ物質文明の一つの象徴でもある自動車の数はついに1億台を超えた。
My opinion of pollution in New York is horrible. When I first came back here, I was ready to go back to Washington, where I had been for more than 2 years. I'm a native New Yorker, and I was completely stupefied when I did come back here to find the city in such a shape as it is. After having been in Washington for just 2 years, I was quite aghast, to come back and to see, the city that I do know and that I have known for 21 years, to be in such a condition as this. But it can be a better city to live and a better city to visit, if we all, can do our share. That includes the automobile manufacturers, the giant corporates,
繁栄の代償として環境の汚染問題が重苦しい影となって人々の心に忍び込む。それをある者は政治の問題として捉え、ある者は企業の悪を指摘した。しかし自然環境の破壊は政治や企業で律しきれる範囲を超えて、個人個人の生活様式や習慣とも大きなつながりがあることに人々は気づき始めている。
In my opinion, I think they really should try to do everything they can in their means or power to clear this up. I think it is affecting the people. And if they do clear this problem up, people will be able to live a cleaner, normal life without worrying about lung cancer and TB and everything else that's affiliated with it. I think it takes more a teamwork. In other words, if a problem has to be cleared up, then it's a question of 3-4 people doing it, and the rest of them sitting back. I think everyone should do something like this, to pitch in and do whatever they can to clear this problem up. I know some progress is being made, but I think eventually they will clear this problem up.
1970年、ニクソン大統領は環境問題で2度にわたって議会に報告書を提出した。そしてこれらが政治的に対立する余地のない問題として大多数の国民に受け入れられたことは、アメリカ人の危機意識を内外に宣言したことでもあった。建国以来200年に満たないアメリカ合衆国の歴史は、北米大陸という広大な大自然との戦いの記録でもあった。そして自然を征服し、未曾有の工業国となった今日でも、ひとたび都会を離れると、その豊かな国土にはいまだに大自然が壮大な広がりを見せている。開拓時代以来、アメリカにとって大自然は絶えず身近な存在であり続けてきた。人は自然を愛し、利用し、そして征服した。 オレゴン州の中心都市ポートランドにほど近い大高原は自然の無限の力を予感させる雄大さで処女地の美しさをあらわにしていた。郊外の住宅地はどの土地に行っても抜けるように美しい。緑に囲まれ澄んだ空気の中で自由な生活を送るのがアメリカ社会の大半を占める中産階級の典型的な姿だ。しかし最近では都市や工業地帯の汚染の影響が少しずつ郊外にまで及ぼうとしている。
We have two small daughters. They're 6 years old and 8 years old. We find living in the suburbs very pleasant from a number of standpoints, and we think that it offers a much better environment for raising the children. I think that they are going to have more problems than we, that it's going to take a while before things like pollution, congestion, population problems diminish.
郊外の住宅地にさえ汚染の波が押し寄せつつあるという事実は都会を逃れた人々にとって無関心ではいられないことだった。環境汚染から自らを守るには自分で行動するほかはない。こうした機運が地味ながら各都市に根強く広まりつつある。シカゴでは大気汚染の元凶である自動車をやめてみんながもっと自転車に乗ろうという集会が開かれ、一般市民や学生など1000人が参加して口々に排気ガスも騒音もない自転車の良さを強調した。汚染を防ぐために自分の手で何ができるか。あるグループは率先して川掃除に乗り出し、ある学生たちは潜水服を着て海の底に沈んだゴミを拾い出した。こうした市民たちの運動は環境を守るために一人一人でもできることが数多くあることを教え、その波及効果はさらに大きく広まろうとしている。
I buy detergents which are low in phosphates because phosphates are damaging to the water. I conserve electricity. I turn the light off when it's not in use. I turn appliances off when they're not in use. I also buy only bottles which are returnable, not disposable bottles, because this is a problem of disposing of them. Things like this can be done by an individual. It is troublesome, and most people when they're shopping will just buy what is handy and convenient and go home and do these things. Some people do know and still do not try. This is the problem. If more people were aware of these things and aware of the seriousness of the pollution problem we have, I think they would try, but they don't realize how bad it now is. I'm very concerned as a mother for the environment that I'm leaving for my children, how it will be as they grow up.
コロラド州デンバーの郊外にある牛の飼育場。ロッキー山脈を見晴かすこの大規模な飼育場には、屠殺所に送られる日を待つ10万頭の牛がひしめき合っている。こうした都会を離れた内陸部の農村地帯でも、環境の汚染問題には重大な関心が持たれている。飼育場の抱える問題は2つある。一つは牛の汚物による悪臭であり、もう一つはそれらの汚物が雨とともに地下水に流れ込んだ場合の河川に与える影響だ。この飼育場の仕事はステーキ用の食肉牛の生産だ。テキサスやオクラホマの農場から生後1年ないし1年半の雄牛を買い集める。これらの牛は全て去勢される。そして150日間にわたってトウモロコシを主体にした特殊な餌を与え、十分に太らせた上で食肉業者に売り渡すのだ。牛は区画された柵の中で1頭あたり1日に15キロの餌を食べる。そしてこれらの牛が排泄する汚物の量は10万頭合わせて1日700トンにもなる。街中から離れたところに位置しているこの飼育場でも、風向きによっては悪臭が住宅地にまで及ぶことがある。そのため敷地内に建てられた電柱に特殊な装置がつけられ、住宅地に向かって強い風が吹く日にはこの装置から香水を含んだ消臭剤を吹き出して悪臭を消すように作られている。一方、汚物による地下水への汚染を避けるため、敷地一面に排水管が敷かれ、排水溝を通して汚水を一箇所に集めるよう設計されている。こうした農村地帯における努力の中にも、自然を大切にしようという自覚がうかがえる。工場地帯は国力の象徴だった。建設工事は繁栄の証だった。ジェット機は人の移動を容易にし、自動車はますます生活必需品としての度合いを深めた。人々は潤い、購買力は高まり、その便利さのために使い捨ての生活習慣が普及した。空気を濁し、川や海を汚し、騒音やゴミをまき散らすことと引き換えに、 人々は豊かな生活を得た。それらは時として樹木や草花の生命を狂わせ、魚や鳥を傷つけさえした。得たものと失ったものとどちらが大きかったのか。少なくとも今アメリカで理解されていることは、あの無限の力を持つ大自然でさえも処理しきれないほどのものを自分たちが国土の上にまき散らしてしまったということである。アメリカは今自然と人間とのつながりを見つめ直そうとしている。大自然への償いを始めようとしている。経済の発展と環境の保護、この相入れない部分があまりにも多い2つの問題に悩みながらも、社会全体が一つの方向に向かってある連帯を生み出そうとしている。それは次の世代に汚れた環境を与えてはならないという共通の使命感として、今人々の意識の中に広く根を下ろそうとしている。
Hi, everybody. This is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16mm films, and some of those films are confusing or bring up more questions than answers. And so that film, I've been handling some materials from the National Archives, and that film was indeed in Japanese, but featured, it was all Americans speaking. And so sometimes it was subtitled, sometimes it was dubbed. Wow, just a weird film. Like, I don't know anything about it. I'm going to try to do some more research. But so the reason we started early with that is my theory is this, and you can tell me this is wrong. Sometimes I show silent films kind of before the show, as a way to kind of watch silent films, but I know that some people don't like silent films. And also I show sometimes foreign language films or films that are in a different language, and I know that some people don't like that. So this was one of those films that was, well, it's in Japanese, and it's 24 minutes long, and I want to show it, but I also don't want to dominate our main show time with something that's in Japanese. So that's why I started it early. Am I wrong? Let me know in the comments if that's not really, if you guys enjoy watching films that are in another language that are 24 minutes long. All right, here's another baffling film from the National Archives, but it's not a government film. It is, it's weird. And this woman talks entirely too much. Enjoy.
Quiet. Have you ever used this, by the way? It's called Temper-ware, and it's marvelous. It does all those things I just said. Freezer to oven to dishwasher, plus it's absolutely beautiful. The people from Linux make it, which is probably the reason why it's beautiful, come to think of it. I ran into Jenny Matthews. Oh, she has the most attractive oral surgeon.
Who cares what an oral surgeon looks like?
Oh, not her dentist, Dopey. It's her boyfriend. She's bringing him tonight. Let me tell you the menu. See what you think. I'm serving a sort of antipasto with drinks. At least that's what I call it. He calls it the kitchen sink. Now, mine is little bitty shrimps, cold sliced lobster, marinated hearts of palm, raw mushrooms, scallions, vicious little red peppers, anchovies. Bill Taylor hates anchovies. They're coming tonight. But his wife likes them, so it might turn out nicely, actually. Let's see, anchovies, a sort of manageable niçoise, and a huge homemade pâté en creux for the one or two people in the whole state that aren't on diets. No, honest, but tell me, do you know anyone who's not either on a diet or seeing an analyst?
Melissa.
It's true. We know people that are doing both.
Melissa.
Ah, there goes my antipasto. Now for the entree, which may be the most elegant, delicious dish in the entire world. 1, 2 whole tenderloins of beef, sensational, worth every last penny.
Excuse me, Melissa, but I think it's my duty to explain here that the term penny is being used in its loosest possible sense.
Oh, how bourgeois of you, Michael. Anyway, they are beautiful, and don't waste them on somebody you can't stand. All you do is roast them, slice them. Everybody has their own personal filet mignon with a choice of 3 sauces, which I'll get into a little later. First of all, the butcher has the biggest job. By the way, each one of these trimmed weighs about 4 pounds, serves 8 people or so. Ask him to bard it, tie it up. The salt pork is what gives it the flavor and the oomph it needs. Since fillets have so little fat, well, that's the reason they're so expensive, I suppose.
Good guess.
You add it. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to dry out and end up looking like an old catcher's mitt.
Tasting like one, too.
Yeah, tasting like one, too. Now, I'm going to rub on salt, pepper, celery salt, and paprika, and really moosh it in like this. I take 1/2 a big fat clove of garlic, stick it in either end, pop it into a 450 oven for 25 minutes or so.
I set a timer for 25 minutes or so.
Oh, okay, 25 minutes flat. Satisfied? And that's that until serving time, at which point I'll pop them back into a 500-degree oven, warm them up, crisp them over 5 or 10 minutes, and they're done. Oh, or rather, they're rare.
See, anybody eating meat like that, cooked any other way, should be condemned to frozen TV dinners.
Okay. Did you notice the roasting platter, by the way? Temper-ware again. I told you, it does everything, including attending the party. Turns out it's a beautiful serving platter, too. Come on out with me to the patio. I want to show you the buffet. Come on. Oh, that reminds me. I want to show you our china. 100% Linux. A lot of the pieces I keep out in the break front because they're so beautiful, but the rest stay here. I love this autumn pattern. I got it the way so many brides got their Lennox, by registering for it at a store and letting our wedding guests swamp us with it. Most of our Lennox crystal, which it matches so beautifully, we got the same way. I can't begin to tell you all the great dinner parties and buffets we've had with this, too.
Cheers.
Oh, see you in a jiffy. This is my buffet. Do you like it? It's Lennox, only Temperware again. You didn't think they'd stop with just things to cook in, did you? This is Temperware's Sprite pattern. It's baking the beef and artichokes this very minute. I love these. I'll use these to keep the sauces warm. I have matching fondue pots for them, but fondue isn't really so good for buffets. I think Sprite's a smashing pattern. It goes with so many things I have, like these funny old napkin rings. Natural earth colors are my favorite for out of doors. This russet color is a pickup of the striped runner on this buffet table. As a matter of fact, all these tablecloths are. I use this chocolate brown, gold, and the color I love most of all, Chianti. All the napkins will be burgundy, and I have them arranged differently at each table. Napkin rings at this table, folded casually here, folded on the plates over there, and on this table I have the napkins in the water glasses. Each table has just a little different character. Now, the wine is another thing. Each table will have its own bottle, saves Michael from being wine steward all evening. Do you like my wine coasters? They're improvised. Lots of times I just use plant saucers and they work out beautifully. I always love tables. It's more comfortable than balancing a plate on your knee. I think place cards are nice. It's a thoughtful thing to do. Every table has a lantern. Of course, it'll be much more dramatic after it gets dark. The look of the table is so important to the success of the party that even though it's a buffet, I like to set each table completely with the dinner plate in place. I hate naked tables. See what I mean? Oh, I must remind Michael to put out those chairs. Buffets have really come into their own as a successful formula for entertaining. They can be held anywhere from the kitchen to the ballroom. Outdoor parties and outdoor buffets are my favorite way to entertain. These small individual tables promote good conversation with less competition. I had a pretty darn healthy vegetable garden on the other side of the pool. Tomatoes, cucumbers, my zucchini were enormous this year.
For a while, it was a question of which was going to get bigger first, the zucchini or the rabbits.
Oh, thank goodness the zucchini won. How's that creme brulee coming?
Well, I finished mixing my custard. What I need right now is some kind of a flat dish or pan or something. Something that sits in something else and you can bake right in the oven.
Oh, I have it. Would this baking dish work?
Yeah, I think it would. In fact, I know it would. You know, I keep forgetting you can use these things in the oven, too.
Why do you think I bought it? Just for its good looks? Not that that wouldn't be reason enough. Did I tell you, by the way, it's ceramic? I hate to sound like a snob or something, but I think you owe yourself a good-looking table. Food, flowers, dishes, crystal, serving pieces. I mean, those heavy glass baking dishes are marvelously serviceable, but so industrial somehow. With Temperware, everything just looks nicer. More appetizing. That's one more thing I like about it. It's tough.
Well, tell them about that television commercial.
Oh, I thought you never watched television except Monday Night Football. The men in your life like football as much as the men in my life?
Well, you know, I was just turning the dials one night, and I saw this guy hammering this nail with this cup. I could hardly believe it. I mean, well, anybody would have watched that. As a matter of fact, I really shouldn't have been that surprised. I remember reading a report from one of our stock analysts about how many years of research that Lennox put into the development of Temperware.
Yeah, well, they sure combined good design with strength. The man actually stood there in the commercial and banged a great big long nail into a block of wood with a Temperware cup. That's what I call a strong cup. And Temperware has guaranteed it for 2 years. It's so strong. To someone with a 7-year-old budding linebacker, that's all important. By the way, How'd you and Peter resolve that bicycle thing?
Oh, well, it was kind of a compromise. He agreed not to have his bicycle lying around in the driveway, and I agreed not to have my car lying around on his bicycle.
Yeah, well, I knew you'd work something out. Oh, I hear my tenderloins. Oh, aren't they nice? Now, all I have to do is find a comfortable place for them to rest until dinner time, like a cold oven. And now, the second one. Now, I'm ready to produce some sauces. I promised 3 sauces, right? First, au jus. And then a sort of béarnaise, which, believe it or not, I find I can make ahead and freeze and then rewarm before serving. Third, a strange and wonderful concoction we have aptly named Melissa's Madness. It really is strange. Butter, parsley stalks, white wine, garlic, and ketchup. It's not exactly classic, but it is fabulous with roast meats. Just don't tell them there's ketchup in it. I guarantee you they won't guess. Now, every cookbook I've ever read, every good cook I've ever known agrees on one basic, essential piece of advice about giving a dinner party. Make a list of what you're serving. Antipasto, beef fillets, artichoke casserole, salad, hot rolls. Is that it? Can you think of anything I might have forgotten?
Melissa, a man works hard all week at the office, spends a beautiful Saturday morning slaving over a double boiler, and his wife stands there and forgets his creme brulee.
Michael, I'm sorry. You explain how to finish it. I'm going to stand here with my big mouth closed.
Oh. Well, actually, there's nothing to it. See, I already have one of these custards chilled and baked. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle some brown sugar mixed with a little demerara sugar, if you have it. If not, brown sugar will do just by itself. You sprinkle it all over the top of the custard. Now, I'm going to place the dish on a bed of cracked ice in a roasting pan. And then, I'm going to broil it.
That never ceases to amaze me.
Well, yes, it's true. You broil it. And believe me, you have to watch it every second to make sure that you don't burn it. You see the brown sugar right before your very eyes. Too much cooking, and you overcook the custard. Too little cooking, and the brown sugar just doesn't crust properly.
If I might interject a little something here, it takes one strong ceramic dish to be able to do something like this. I mean, you're cooking over ice under a broiler. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Temperware is the greatest thing that ever happened to our entire kitchen. Well, since our microwave oven. Temperware goes in that, too.
And creme brulee is the greatest thing that ever happened to your mouth. After the brown sugar has caramelized, you just chill it all over again until it gets hard. Once you sink your teeth into this combination of textures, I mean the hard caramel crust and the cold, creamy custard, words fail me.
Well, they don't fail me.
What a surprise.
I think we got the whole thing licked. I'm going to go upstairs, put on something fascinating and unforgettable, and have myself one beautiful party.
I think everything's going to be just fine. Oh, you know what else I think?
What?
I think you're even cuter with your apron off.
boy. So here's some thoughts about this. One, why does the National Archives have a copy of this film? National Archives is a repository for federal government agencies. So why does it have this promotional film for Temperware? Two, I looked to see if there were any lawsuits where Tupperware was challenging Temperware's trademark, because it just seems so close and the logo looks so similar. Three, I think I figured it out. The woman and the guy are just speaking with such intensity, and it's an intensity that you have for a 30-second commercial, but it goes on for 14 minutes. So it's like this elevated, excited, ramped up, talking about everything as exciting and wonderful, it's a commercial, but it goes on way too long. So that's my take on this. I delight in showing these films to you because you can kind of scratch your head with me and figure out like what is going on. I also like when you guys give me a thumbs up, or when you subscribe or donate via the Super Thanks button, or via ko-fi.com or patreon.com. But I also like it when I get a box in the mail. And this is a box from our friends in New Jersey. And so here is Skip's Christmas Adventure, brought to us by Peter. There's a very nice letter from Athena, who talks about the other thing that's in the box, and how she loves the band the Aquabats. I like the Aquabats, and I especially like a project that one of the Aquabats did, which is Yo Gabba Gabba. I'm very much a fan of Yo Gabba Gabba, and actually had DJ Lance Rock visit my archive at one point. So that was cool. And the other thing is, so I got this mysterious box that has it says Fragile on it. And then it says right here, Fragile, which is awesome. And then this is the ornament that Athena made for me, crocheted, I believe. And then she wrote with a glitter pen that got a little bit out of control. She writes in the letter that says AV Geeks on it. Then Sarah made this. It is a 3D representation of me. You see my little unshaven face. I heart film. I mean, this is why I do what I do. It's like so phenomenal. Oh yeah, Katrina pointed out that it is almost an archivist salute, in that you're holding up the film and you're looking at it. That's what we call the archivist salute, and there are countless. Every time I was in the paper for a while, they were like, "Oh, why don't you hold the film up and look through it?" So that's what we call the archivist salute. So thank you so much. Those kids are awesome. If you remember, last year, they created this diorama, which I'm a big fan of dioramas, of me on YouTube, and this is on their computer. It has all the ports. And then you take this off, and you see that it's me, a little rotund me, sitting eating lasagna, and there's a film scanner behind me. And then what's really great is the fact that the diorama is up right here behind me, so it's like a little bit of recursion going on. And then they show the never before seen other wall, where there's my computer, there's a ring light, then there's a microwave oven. and Clyde Beatty from a Castle film. So these kids are awesome. I'm totally excited for the next generation. My generation, These kids, they're great. I love them. Anyhow, so if your kids are watching, thank you so much. It really brightened my week, my month. I can coast the rest of the week or rest of the month. Okay. This next film, this one makes more sense. This is from, again, National Archives. This one, it makes sense why it's there. This is Sanitary Landfill. You're the operator. Enjoy.
Well, this area has certainly changed. I don't remember seeing anything as attractive as that entrance a year ago. Houses, too. Who would have expected to see home construction this near a landfill? No paper, no debris, no mess. What a difference a year makes. I don't know what I expected to find up here, but for sure nothing like this. Hi, I'm Larry Burrell with KWLA. You're the operator?
Yes, I'm Jack Johnson. We're always happy to have visitors to tell our story to. What's KWLA's angle?
Well, frankly, Jack, the reason we're doing this story is because a year ago, this was a pretty messy area. People are very impressed with how you brought it under control. I know I sure am. I guess the place to start is for you to tell me just what a sanitary landfill is.
Well, Larry, the official definition is that sanitary landfilling is an engineered method of disposing of solid waste on land by spreading the waste in thin layers, compacting it to the smallest practical volume, and covering it with soil by the end of each working day in a manner that protects the environment.
Well, I guess in plain English, what you're really saying is that a sanitary landfill is a safe and efficient way of disposing of refuse.
Yes, a real sanitary landfill like this one is one of the best ways to dispose of nearly 1 ton of refuse from each person. Over here is the equipment it takes to operate a sanitary landfill. I'll show you later how each piece contributes to making this a properly operated landfill. But first, let's go down to the scale house for an overall look at what we're doing. This is a set of plans prepared by our engineer to guide the construction of our landfill. The engineer selected this site after a thorough engineering study to protect against environmental hazards. The engineer prepared this site plan to show the original topography, finished grades and ditches and culverts, and location of the cover materials. The map also shows our wet weather operations site, roads, buildings, fencings, and utilities. This other plan shows how we're planning to use the site after filling is completed. The grades shown on the plan were set so the completed site can be used as a park. Larry, I'd like you to meet Myers, our weighmaster.
Mr. Myers, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Every load of trash brought in here is weighed and the amount recorded on these forms. After calculating the charge for disposal, he instructs the driver to follow the signs to the dumping area. It's important for us to know the rate at which available space in our landfill is being used up and to keep track of where our income is coming from. The regulatory agency here also requires us to keep certain records on our operation. We charge based on the tonnage of trash delivered, so we've got to maintain accurate records. We can determine from these records where our costs lie in order to minimize expenditures. The federal government has provided us with these forms to help organize our records for this purpose.
By the way, Jack, I've heard that sanitary landfills have a very poor accident record. What's your experience in this area?
Actually, Larry, a sanitary landfill is relatively safe. It's the dumps that have the poor safety record. Our operating practices help eliminate accidents. We also have emergency procedures to follow. A pickup is always on duty at the fill, and any emergency work can reach me in a matter of a few minutes. When it does, I can get an ambulance here within minutes.
No first aid?
Yes, we have one trained first aider on the job. He mainly treats for minor cuts and bruises. For anything more serious, we call on professional help.
Does the landfill have to be fenced?
Yes, because we have to control access. The entrance must have a gate so that vehicles can't get into the fill when it's closed. This protects us against the possibility of lawsuits from people who might wander in here and get hurt. We have these drop boxes for people who get out here after we close. The drop boxes are emptied back at the fill each morning. Come on, let's go back there and I'll show you how we landfill. Standing on a 30-foot refuse fill. That mound over there is yesterday's refuse covered with earth. It's what we call a cell. A cell is simply refuse surrounded on all sides by earth. And over here is where we're building one today. As you can see, we're compacting on a 3-to-1 slope. We spread the refuse from the bottom up, keeping the working face as small as possible. The trucks unload right at the toe of the slope.
Why can't they dump at the top?
Well, they could, but unloading at the bottom and pushing up gives us better compaction. Leaves the top 3 for covering, reduces blowing litter, and is easier on the operator and machine.
Well, how is the equipment affected?
Well, tractors are designed to work more efficiently when moving forward. That's because the rear sprockets, which do all the work, are pulling the bottom of the track when it's tightly held down by the weight of the tractor. When in reverse, it's pulling the loose top part of the track. Tractor wear is increased whenever it moves in reverse. This wear is increased even more whenever the tractor pushes refuse down a slope and then has to go in reverse up the slope.
How do you get good compaction?
We get the best compaction when the waste is spread in layers 2 foot thick on a 3-to-1 slope, then run over 3 to 5 times before adding another layer.
How do you know when you're working on the right slope?
The dozer can climb it with a blade load without overworking. If it's too steep, we have to go to another gear and the track starts spinning and lose speed. It's a matter of feel.
Before that refuse is compacted, it looks pretty loose. How do you keep it from getting away from you in the wind?
Larry, I'm glad you asked me that question because it's here that the public loses confidence in a landfill and where most operators fail. It's really quite simple. First of all, we make use of the wind by working the face of the cell into it. This way, the wind presses the loose papers against the rough surface of the slope. We know the direction of the prevailing winds here, so we set up portable fences downwind of the working area. We use two types. These 10-footers are pulled from spot to spot. Hog fences are used when we need to cover a relatively large area. You've got to make sure the fences are kept clean. Otherwise, they act as a barrier to the wind, which then simply moves over them. Then, too, we keep the working face as small as possible.
And how do you do that?
First, by being aware that if left uncontrolled, the working face can easily get spread out. That's the spotter's responsibility.
What is spotting?
The spotting is like traffic directing. When trucks are coming in heavy, they have to know where to dump. We try not to delay the trucks. The homeowner with his small trailer can be a problem. Most don't know how to back up to the fill. The spotter can be helpful here and prevent collisions. During the slack time, he also fills in as our laborer, cleaning litter fences, and even goes outside our property to pick up litter. He also runs our water truck.
Is that all there is to spotting, Jack?
Well, no, sometimes we get a hot load. That is a truck with a fire somewhere in the refuse. We have to put him off in a separate area where he can dump out of the way.
Then what?
The dozer spreads the load right out, and we put out the fire with a water truck. We also call the fire department.
Then does the refuse go into the fill?
Not until the end of the shift, when we're sure the fire's out and won't start again. It could spread to the whole face, you know.
Anything else?
Sometimes a load of bulky stuff comes in. White goods, tree trunks, you name it.
And what do you do with that?
We have him dumped to one side of the working face. Then the dozer smashes the stuff by walking over it. It is then worked into the bottom of the lift. By doing it this way, the dozer won't dig it out the next time he comes along.
What other problems do you have?
Well, we have to operate 52 weeks a year in good weather and bad. If we stop for rain or snow or cold weather, the entire fill would get out of control.
So what do you do?
Well, we have a wet weather site. It's over here. Come on, we'll have a look. As you can see, most of the roads are temporary dirt roads, and the refuse is covered with dirt. In wet weather, they get muddy. So we do two things. We fill in an area near our all-weather blacktop roads and surface the access roads and dumping pad with asphalt burnings, clinker from nearby power plants, or perhaps broken up rubble from construction sites. We also stockpile cover earth near the wet weather site to cover the refuse daily. And by the way, it's a lot easier to do this work during dry weather.
If you have to be that prepared for wet weather, what do you do during cold weather and heavy snows?
Well, actually, Larry, the cold and snow is not such a problem. You remember last winter?
I'll never forget it. I couldn't get to work for nearly a week.
Our major problem was keeping the roads open. A lot of time was spent by our operator cleaning snowdrift from the roads and dumping area. Aside from this, operations were not much different from any other time. Cover dirt is stockpiled near the fill prior to cold weather setting in. It's spread over the rubbish every day. As long as snow covers the stockpiled cover dirt, it doesn't freeze. We've had problems in years when we get cold weather prior to the snow. The earth cover froze, and we had to rip the earth to loosen it.
I don't imagine the equipment operators like winter operations.
Actually, they're better protected than anyone else out here. The machines have heated cabs. Operator efficiency drops off due to restricted visibility, mostly when the wind blows snow.
Seems to me this operation is pretty rough on equipment.
And you're not wrong there. All of our equipment has special accessories to guard against damage, and we still have to check them regularly. We house our equipment in that building to protect it against vandals and the elements. The building is heated so that the operator can perform routine maintenance and minor repairs anytime, regardless of the weather. We have to keep the machines going to maintain a sanitary landfill. Preventive maintenance is absolutely necessary. I insist that repairs be made immediately before a minor defect becomes a major breakdown, which is costly to fix and can extend downtime. Well, it looks like we're ready to start covering.
Why is cover necessary?
Well, actually, it's one of the most important elements of a sanitary landfill. By covering all the refuse with earth, the site looks neat, and the cover keeps the paper from blowing around. Earth also helps to prevent fires by sealing off the combustible material within each cell. This way, if a fire should break out, it won't spread to adjacent cells. Without daily cover, the refuse would draw rats and insects. You want to get it sealed before it gets to rotting and smelling bad. Rats won't come around or stay around if there's nothing to eat, so cover keeps a landfill sanitary. The ideal cover is something that can be excavated easily on site, spread and compacted evenly, and won't be too slippery when wet, yet contains enough moisture to prevent dusting. But you seldom have such ideal conditions. We have to rip some of our cover soil, and when we use rocky soil, we've got to lay down more to get an equivalent cover.
How do you know how much cover to put on?
If you can see refuse through the cover earth, you need more. Normally it takes about 6 inches to cover the cell to hold its shape and to keep the refuse in. It's sort of up to the operator's judgment just how much it takes to get this amount of cover. It's something he gets a feel for after a while. When a fill is completed, that is when it is brought up to finished grade, we put on at least 2 feet of final earth cover.
The refuse is worked from the bottom up, but it looks like you place the earth from the top down. Why is that?
Well, flexibility, I suppose. You want to keep the stockpiled earth out of the way of the delivery vehicles, but close enough to where it's needed. We bring it in during the day when refuse deliveries are slow. Having the earth at the top is especially helpful on windy days because you can cover the refuse as needed rather than waiting till the end of the day. Bear in mind that earth is heavy compared to refuse, and it's easier to drift earth downhill, feathering as you go.
Jack, when we talked over the phone, you said you had another site. Is it like this one?
No, on that side I use the trench method of landfilling. There are no available canyons for filling, so I excavate a trench to place the refuse in and use the excavated material for cover. For the trench method, the refuse is placed in the trench, compacted, and then covered with earth, just as in the area method used here.
Well, I guess that covers it for me.
Now, before you go, I'd like you to meet my equipment operator. He's a key man here on our landfill. Hey, Dick, do you have a minute? I'd like to introduce you to Larry Burrell. Larry is out here doing a story on our operation.
How do you do, Dick? I understand you've been on the job quite some time. How do you like it?
Good. I know what I have to do every day, how it's supposed to be done. I take the attitude that it's something constructive, something to be proud of. Some of the operators may think landfill is just a fancy dump. Me, I think it's a good operation and an important one. It's taking nearly useless land and making something useful out of it. When this fill is finished, I can bring my family up here for a picnic and let them share a little of the pride that went into making this sanitary landfill one of the best in the country.
Many of the improvements you have seen were the suggestion of Dick and the other men out here. We may be the operators, but I like to think that someday the public will realize the value of sanitary landfilling too. Thanks very much, Dick. There's a feeling of constant movement and progress on a sanitary landfill. No matter where you look, everybody is on the job. That packer's been here twice today. We've got to hustle to keep up with the deliveries. Efforts at resource recovery are helping to reduce the amount, but there will always be some material left over for land disposal. Nobody within sight or sound of this project can be offended by what he sees or hears. Everybody who works here understands that.
Thanks a lot for the tour of your sanitary landfill, Jack, and congratulations on the way you've improved it. As far as I'm concerned, sanitary landfilling is here to stay.
We're always glad to have visitors. We're proud of what we're doing.
So great. So this reminds me of the time that I went to our sanitary landfill in Raleigh, and I had a Ford Ranger, and I went up the hill following behind all these big trucks filled with trash. Oh, my sandwich is done. And then kind of followed behind them and got stuck in these ruts, in the soft mud. And I couldn't get out, and they had to like bring a little excavator to kind of pull out the area so I could like get out. And then I realized I wasn't supposed to go to that. I was supposed to go down to, there was something for the average consumer that was down the hill that I totally missed. Anyways, one last film. We never close. Enjoy.
You are looking at a few of the millions of reasons for the existence of our postal system. People, nearly 200 million of Americans, the best reasons in the world for offering service. But until recently, they have had to come to us. Now, we have started to offer our services where the people are, and in a form that permits them to serve themselves, which they are willing to do. The self-service post office is a new concept in the process of stamping, weighing, and handling letters and parcel post. With this newly available service, anyone can buy stamps and deposit mail at any time, day or night, and on Sundays and holidays, every day of the year. This is one version of the self-service post office. Lobby vending machines available in regular post offices, independent of the hours of operation of the station itself. Another type is the outdoor walk-up post office, such as this one in downtown Washington, D.C. It is designed principally for pedestrians, wherever there is a preponderance of such traffic. That includes college campuses. The largest type of self-service post office is the drive-up unit being installed in shopping centers and city malls, providing postal services right where people are and carrying out the great appeal of these areas. Everything you want at one location. The parcel post scale is often the first stopping point. The mailing zone of the destination is easily found, and when the corresponding key is pressed, the machine displays the amount of postage required. The change maker is another great convenience. It makes change for dimes, quarters, half dollars, and $1 bills. Coins are needed, of course, for the stamp vending machine. The prices of the stamps sold by these multi-denominational machines are the same as at a regular post office. No markups. Stamp imprinted postcards and envelopes, both regular and airmail, are dispensed at the multi-commodity machine. You can even insure a package. In fact, all main post office services, except registration and money orders, are conveniently available here. And there's even free direct line phone service for postal information.
Can you tell me how much postage it takes to send a 5-pound package to Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, Canada? Thank you.
There's no doubt that these self-service units are popular and convenient additions to our postal system. The small businessman who often does his bills and paperwork after hours or on the weekend likes the 24-hour availability. When the working girl becomes a pedestrian, at lunch or after work, a self-service unit is a tremendous convenience for her. Everyone enjoys assurance of parking space, especially the housewife who likes to buy her stamps and mail her letters at whatever time happens to be the most convenient for her. Of course, nothing will ever take the place of the regular post office, but self-service units can relieve the pressure and cut down the queues, allowing the window services to be operated more effectively and efficiently. This gives stature and importance to the work of the men who service and maintain the self-service units. The clerk technician who does this has some conventional duties too, because there are not enough self-service units in his area to take up all his time. He services his units about once a week, or oftener if necessary. He takes along replacement magazines for the coin dispensing machines, together with envelopes and stamps. Since these items are almost as good as money, he must be able to account for them to the penny. A walk-around inspection is usually the first item to take care of. He looks for any indications of vandalism or damage to the equipment or the structure, including signs. Then he goes inside. If he finds, for example, that a stamp dispenser module has a bad solenoid, he can clear the trouble quickly by replacing the entire module instead of working on the bad solenoid, which is a job for the maintenance mechanic. Cleaning the machines comes next. This is, in reality, preventive maintenance, because dust and dirt, if allowed to accumulate, can cause operational trouble. He gives the coin-changing machines fresh supplies of coins. And empties the collection boxes. A good clerk technician is part merchant, so he wants to have plenty of merchandise on hand at all times, and no missed sales or dissatisfied customers. He makes sure that everything works as it should. Sorting the collected coins and counting the bills is usually his first job after returning to the main post office. Then he loads the coin magazines that he'll be taking out on the next service trip. Of course, there's always some paperwork, but it is held to a minimum and includes only items that are directly related to the proper operation of the units. The maintenance mechanic visits a unit only when there's something specifically wrong that the clerk technician can't take care of. A malfunctioning multi-commodity machine, for example, may have to have its complicated panel board checked out. And this is one of the things the mechanic has been trained to do. Or he may be called upon to replace a vend motor. Occasionally, a relay will burn out. He knows how to adjust or replace the sensitive optical scanner in the bill verifier element of the changer. If the maintenance mechanic can't pinpoint the cause of a malfunction immediately, he goes through a specified troubleshooting routine that will reveal the difficulty. In addition to the clerk technician's regular inspections, he and the mechanic make a thorough inspection at least once a year. They examine all the parts and the unit as a whole to see how it is standing up against the wear and tear of time and weather, and determine whether it needs structural repairs, painting, or other general or special maintenance. Both men were specially selected for this work, and each received weeks of intensive training in maintaining and servicing all equipment for self-service units. They learned by working with the equipment they would actually be servicing. The classes are small, and all instruction is personal. Clerk technicians have to know how everything works, but they do not go into as much detail as the maintenance mechanics. As part of the course, equipment is bugged, and the trainees are then quizzed on how the trouble is identified and corrected. There is a written final exam at the end of the training period. The maintenance mechanics study each device in complete detail, covering both theory and practical application. They learn how the bill changer works, for example, and how it refuses to work if the bill is incorrectly inserted or if a piece of green paper is inserted. Frequent brief tests show the men how they're doing. Training includes mastering the task of stripping down and reassembling every device used in a self-service unit. As just one example, each man gets 6 hours of practical work on the currency and coin changer, removing, inspecting, and replacing every part. The procedure for testing and adjusting the parcel post scale is mastered so that the field tests can be made quickly and accurately. In the training center's work lab, the maintenance mechanics go through all phases of corrective maintenance and repair. Thus, field routines will become second nature. As the culmination of their weeks of training, the men receive certificates of the completion of training and qualification. The popularity and convenience of self-service units make it most likely that many more will be installed in the years ahead. And as the Postal Service continues to expand and keep up with the demands placed upon it, the men who keep these self-service units working give real meaning to the slogan, "We never close."
And of course, we end with that awesome library music, which often is on trailers or snipes from the 70s. And I'm sure YouTube will tell me what they are. Speaking of which, so we did the experiment where I showed an untitled music video that was made probably in the late 60s, early 70s, and didn't know anything about it. And some of you, old radios in particular, use Shazam to figure it out. So there's somebody leaf blowing. That is what that sound is behind me. I was trying to figure that out. We're not being attacked by drones. So anyways, yes, YouTube also identified it. So there you go. So tomorrow we'll figure out what... Actually, I had already uploaded this, so let's see what it says. There's 5 claims. So one is Funky Fanfare by Keith Mansfield. One is Fun on the Run by Steve Gray. One is Autumn Reverie by Johnny Pearson. One is On the Brighter Side by Johnny Hawksworth. And then another Johnny Hawksworth song, A Girl for All Seasons. So I think Funky Fanfare was the last song. So there you go. Thanks, YouTube, for not monetizing my film because it has production music in it. But there you go. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for your donations. That's always appreciated. Thanks for your Temperware. And we will be back again tomorrow, and we'll watch some more films. It'll be great. We love it. Man, it's loud. All right. Don't they know we're doing a streaming show in here? All right. Thanks again. Everybody have a great rest of your day. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up. Subscribing is actually a way that helps us with ad revenue, I found out. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do it. Then you get to find out about all the stuff that we're uploading, because there's a lot more stuff than what we're showing on the channel right now during these streaming shows. And so there's a lot more things. Anyways, everybody enjoy your day, and we'll see you soon. Take care.